colleagues about the interesting aspect about good or bad, and how various cultures define that differently, and that working on that movie by looking a little bit into American history further than I have to admit I had done before, you know, made me sort of realize that this culture defines good and evil very quickly, or rather attributes good and evil very quickly, without really a detailed definition, and for entertainment purposes. It's very important for a story to know right away that Little Red Riding Hood is good and the wolf is bad. But that's kind of a very sort of not childlike level, but sort of the fairy tale aspect of it, because the fairy tale is actually mostly designed to teach children about good and evil. Now, in this case, and in Quentin's movies, it's far more complex. Someone said, by confusing the parts, and she thought I'm a different part in this movie, and said, how do you justify being so cruel and inflicting so much pain on others? And at first I thought she was talking about me, or not me personally, but about my character. And I thought, oh, that's an interesting question. For once, someone, not to call it dialectical, but basically, yes, someone likes to look at the other side of things. Because yes, I am a good guy, yet I shoot infinitely more people than in Inglourious Basterds, where I only killed one person. Mm. And I thought, that's interesting, and maybe she, unfortunately, she just confused me.
You are playing the sophisticated European who's looking at this culture with some horror.
Well, I'm considering the historical aspect of the first half of the 19th century. That is not that long ago that enlightenment had been invented, so to say. It's really just like, I don't know, less than 100 years. And a lot less than 100 years. These things were happening in Europe earlier then. The revolutions of thought and the revolutions of society and all of these things. So historically, really, it makes sense that if someone would travel across the Atlantic for whatever reason in the first part of the 19th century, he would bring a lot of that philosophy and a lot of that new approach to humankind from Europe. That was, in a way, the basis of the point of departure for thinking into this character.
How important is creating a backstory for your character as an actor?
Well, it's, anything that you can get. If it's backstory, it's backstory. I don't believe in acting books. I don't believe in, such and such. Judah Hagen prescribes that. Stanislavski says in 6 volumes, he says, So, yeah, well, I'm sure it's all correct. It's all fine. But it's not an academic thing, It's you take what you can get, and you take it from where you can get it from.
But do you invent your own? Do you create your own previous part of your life before the movie started for your own sake?
I have a hard enough time to create my current life, day to day. Do you need it? No, you don't. Is it fun? It might be. Does it help you? Well, help you what? It's all about imagination, because there are a lot of misconceptions in my view on acting. All this method hoo-ha, it's all very nice. It was, again, historically had its importance in the 40s and 50s when acting was an empty, formal, in the best cases, aesthetic endeavor. It kind of was designed to counteract that and sort of bring it back to the core of human behavior and readable behavior and communicable through behavior and so that you identify with the human being rather than with the grander concept. But that, that was really the 40s and the 50s. This is like 60, 70 almost years behind, afterwards. So these things don't play that, same thing in psychotherapy, are you a Freudian, a Jungian, a Reichian, or whatever, nobody works like that anymore. They take, your specific, sorry, but maybe you, a specific case, and you certain requirements, and then if I'm educated enough and trained enough, then I can take it from here, from there, to make it right for you, not for me. Considering that you're the client and I'm the psychiatrist. How much do I owe you?
Back to the movie. Could you make? There have been a lot of changes made apparently from the script to the film. Is there a way of describing if there were a change in tone or what you would see as a change from the script?
Well, it's like almost like a living organism, and with Quentin more so than with anybody else. And the directors who storyboard the whole thing, adhere to the script religiously, have a shot list that is, mathematically perfect, and you just shoot one thing after another. There's something to be said for it, against it. With Quentin, it's a living organism. The script is the point of departure. The shooting takes care of collecting the material for his edit. So there's 6 more days to shoot. And then the release date is supposed to be the 25th of December.
What bets are you placing on that?
Well, I don't know. I completely...
You worked with him on Inglourious. Would you say that there was more rewriting this time around? Because Inglourious pretty much did shoot most of its script, save for an ending.
Can I build on that? Let me
Yeah,
just
please,
ask you,
please.
have you seen differences in the way he's worked with Bastards and this? Has his... Yeah.
Sure.
And what would they be? Yeah.
Of course, yeah. First of all, we were in Germany on Bastards, and the schedule was tighter. Mm-hmm. I assume the budget was smaller. Here, we're on Quentin's home turf, and emboldened through the experience and the success of Bastards, it was a little more extensive, and therefore the leeway was broader, and I don't know the percentage. I mean, in Bastards, pretty much what's in the script. Yeah, well, what script did you read? Because of the Christmas hiatus, he wrote 50 new pages in Bastards, and here a lot of things changed, yeah. But they change according to necessity. He sees, his eyes are better than ours. He sees, I dare say, he sees stuff long before they really, make their presence felt. And he thinks ahead because he's the author. He's not so much a director, he's the author. It all started out in his head, and it'll end in his head in a way. And he'll just, have the thing that he's now facing is to transpose what's in his head via the material that he's shot through the edit into the movie.